Well, it is 5:04. I'd like to welcome you all to the City of Bloomington Redevelopment Commission meeting of August 5th, 2024. If we could start the meeting with a roll call, please.
Sue Scambluri here.
Randy Cassidy here.
John West here.
Deborah Meyerson here. And staff present, please.
Larry Allen, legal.
Anna Hansen, hand.
Jane Cougar-Smith, Economic and Sustainable Development.
Jessica McClellan, City Controller.
Roy Aiken with City Engineering.
Thank you. Sorry.
There's additional stuff in there.
Perfect. Would you like us to speak
Yeah,
or
I
invite
think
you?
you do it.
Yeah.
You are city staff, correct?
Senior Network Administrator, Rob Grom.
Assistant ITS Director, Mike Crump.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate having all accounted for.
Do it.
We're good. We will go to a reading of the minutes of July 15th, 2024. If I could have any questions or comments from commissioners on those minutes. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
No questions. I'll move approval of minutes for July 15th, 2024.
Second.
A first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next on our agenda, we have the examination of claims from August 2nd, 2024 for $1,298,324.40. And any questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Three little quick questions. One on 15-1-600 on the AT&T mobility cell phone charges. Is that just for the staff while we're out, and it applies into just the general consolidated tip?
It said,
It's actually from your funds.
yeah, so that comes from our Title 16 funds, it looks like. And that is just a change in the service, I believe. Essentially, we have received new iPads, for our inspectors, and that was part of it.
That didn't come out of the tip though, right?
No, that's why I wanted to ask and verify, so not out of the tip. And then real quickly in regards to our 444 account, and let me look here just to make sure. Oh, yeah, the account 4320 on the 15 or 150,000 on the account 43220, just for the refund for showers. That was just an overpayment, or?
For the lease payment, is that what
Yes.
you referred to? Yeah, that was an overpayment. There was a duplicate payment that was submitted by BDR.
Okay. And then the only other question is the one with Marshall Security, and while I'm not questioning the cost, I'm just asking if we could look and know when our contract will run out with them for the Hopewell, so that we're aware of what the time frame is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or
Yeah.
comments?
Page 3 of 5 among the claims register's very first couple items, the escrow payments for the Trades Tech Center. Are those tied to a particular project within the tech center? Or are they?
The tech center itself, that's the project.
So they are.
It's part of the construction of the tech center.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it's literally what's being taken from the payment, whatever's outstanding from the contractor, that's what's getting diverted into the escrow account.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
If there are any other questions or comments, otherwise I will take a motion.
I'll move approval of the claims register for August 2nd, 2024.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the payroll register from July 26, 2024 for $41,088.87. Any comments or questions from commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
First and 2 seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll move to the report of officers and committees. We have a director's report, please.
Sure. So I have a few things to report upon. First of all, neighborhood improvement grants, additional funding was made available for the neighborhood improvement grants. So additional funds were allocated amongst the projects. There was an amendment to the Park Ridge East neighborhood improvement. And so you might recall that in April 22nd of this year, you guys voted to approve $8,500 in neighborhood improvement grant funds to the Park Ridge East Neighborhood Association for their traffic median greening project. This amount is $4,325 less than the neighborhood association had requested to fully fund their project. During that meeting, there was some discussion of a plan to fully fund the project should additional funds become available. And it was documented in a CATS recording around the 43-minute mark. Interested. So additional funding has now been identified. Therefore, HAND is increasing the grant by an additional $4,325 for a total budget amount of $12,825. In addition, other activities right now, entitled communities are required to develop a 5-year plan to assess affordable housing and community development needs and market conditions to make data-driven, place-based investment decisions. We are currently in the process of developing this 5-year plan. And outreach is going to be occurring later this month. So we would really like public participation, if at all possible. There is a place on our website that lists all of the dates. There's a variety of formats, virtual, in-person, but topics range from affordable housing, fair housing, neighborhood preservation, services to meet and improve economic self-sufficiency amongst lower income residents, public infrastructure, and facility improvements. So please keep an eye out for those dates. We really would like to have some participation. In addition, I wanted to let you know that Heading Home is hosting an inspection palooza on September 18th from 11 to 12:30. They are trying to engage landlords and property managers to see inspections from a variety of different viewpoints, including our hand inspectors. And speaking of hand inspectors, 8 members of our staff, including myself, have recently become Inspire certified inspectors, and that is national standards of the physical inspection of real estate. So that was an accomplishment that we took care of this month. But other than that, that concludes my director's report.
Great. Congratulations to the staff.
Yeah, good job on that. Well, quick question, Anna, where we came up with the additional money for them, did that just come from other grants that didn't participate or weren't going to participate?
It actually came from a different budget line that was identified but unknown of at the time of allocation. So it was a local line.
Okay.
It did not come out of TIF.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a legal report. Anything? to
No
share?
report, but I'm happy to answer any questions Commissioner may have.
Thank you. A treasurer's report?
No report, but I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Business development update?
No report, thank you.
Okay. And Hopewell, I think Deb Kuntz is with us.
Yeah, right here. Great, so just a quick update on the development. We've been talking about prepping for the public offering for the Hopewell South, continued development of that. So we had a great meeting with U3 this week, and they are putting some finishing touches. I don't know, would you like to just touch on timing or any other information, Larry, to regards to the public offering for our South?
Not at this time, Deb. We've discussed
Okay.
it.
Okay, great. So just know it continues to be in progress, and focus on trying to look at making sure that we've got moving those development opportunities forward. So that's it today.
Great, thank you. So next item on our agenda, we've got new business, and we have resolution 24-55, approval of hardware of an agreement with Presidio for Hopewell Phase 1 East hardware and camera installation.
Hello, Roy Ayton with City Engineering Department. So a portion of our Hopewell East infrastructure project was to install all the conduits and everything to get us ready to have a wireless access point and cameras that'll go into the Hopewell Common Park through there. That's in the infrastructure project. What wasn't included in the infrastructure project was the actual purchasing of the wireless access points and the cameras themselves. So this agreement with Presidio will purchase those, have them install the wireless access points, and for I think a total amount was $49,174.43. And then that work will be done by Presidio after our infrastructure project is completed.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from commissioners on this resolution?
I've got just a quick question. So it's basically a hardware purchase?
Yeah, I'm also joined this evening by the IT department, so I think they're more familiar with the actual contract and the quote. So maybe Rob can help me answer that one.
Is it okay if I answer from up here? Or?
Yeah.
Well,
We need the mics to pick you up.
Hi, Rob Crunk again, Senior Network Administrator for ITS. But this is to explicitly cover the cost of labor to install the cameras and the hardware themselves for the park.
So I just, that wasn't included in the original quotes?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Question real quick, is, given the fact that we don't have any of the development going on, I think, do we still have our construction camera working?
The construction camera's out there today. It's still working, and it will work all the way through the construction project.
The end of the
Yep.
project. Do we need to go ahead and get this done now, or is this something that as we move forward, is this for security purposes at the present moment, or are we looking at something that we're needing it to be installed? Because from a time frame standpoint, we're going to be working on Hopewell for a while.
Yes, so this is the end game of the project. This is to support security of the park, monitoring of it, as well as providing free public Wi-Fi to the residents who are going to be occupying that park.
Right. And given that we don't have any other activity in regards to it, when we're opening this is just a situation from a safety standpoint.
Correct.
More than anything, because this public area potentially could be opened prior to other development occurring in that area. Mm-hmm. Is that what we're looking from a time frame standpoint? So we need this put into our package now in order to ensure public safety long term.
Correct, yes.
So now these particular feeds on these park cameras and such, is this police station? Is this open web?
This is going to be accessible on the city's existing camera infrastructure server. Mm-hmm. So if anyone has a PIR, public request, they can put it in and we can provide whatever video is captured during that time.
Okay. And then from a public Wi-Fi standpoint, is there intent to have this up and operational prior to other development occurring, so the park is utilized as a public Wi-Fi spot? Or will that be installed at the present moment and then turned on at a later date?
I am unsure with the specifics of the timeline of the project. This is something that, pending we get the cabling, the electrical, and everything alongside it, it could come up separately from other areas and other portions of the project.
Okay. So this needs to be coordinated with our existing infrastructure project in order to make sure that everything is handed off complete without, because if we wait at this particular point, we're going to have a system that may not coincide with the finish of the infrastructure project at whole. If I can ask one silly question, how'd it get missed?
What's that?
How'd it get missed in the consolidated TIF or in the consolidated cost?
In the beginning, from when they were putting I don't have an answer for you. Those individuals are gone. We just realized that they are not in the current infrastructure contract.
Okay. Is this part of what comes out from a contingency standpoint then? That's maybe a question for Deb.
You mean in terms of funding? Sorry, Commissioner.
Yeah. Yeah, to my knowledge, I don't think there are any contingencies that were built in. You may recall we had that conversation even last year, and the determination was that there would be no contingencies put in to those projects.
So this is just an added cost that it's unforeseen at the present moment, but it's necessary to ensure compatibility with the infrastructure that is put in and the public safety that needs to be put forth. Statement or question?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Yes. Okay. So, and from a time frame standpoint, what is our time frame? Because I'm assuming this went out either in public situation or from a negotiated standpoint based on existing infrastructure.
Timeline becomes difficult to answer because there's moving pieces before that need to go in place. But I would say, Roy, would you say this is something that would be slated to open? The park is slated to be open to a whole?
Yeah, so our completion date still remains the same towards the end of this fall.
Okay.
We will be open with the public for the park itself. It'll be welcome to the public, but the development, I think, is not slated to begin till later.
Okay.
So there is going to be a span there where we're waiting on the development.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, Rob.
Of course.
Thank you. If we don't have any more questions or comments from commissioners, is there any comments from the public, either online or in person? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion, please, for Resolution 2455.
I will make a motion to approve it, hesitantly that it's, not wasn't in the budget, but I will make a motion to approve the cost as presented. And
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Yeah.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Do appreciate all your hard work in regards to making sure this is put together, complete, so it functions when the park is open. Very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next on our agenda, we have Resolution 2457, which is authorizing the issuance of a tax increment revenue refunding bonds for the purpose of providing funds to be applied to pay for the refunding of certain outstanding tax increment revenue bonds of the redevelopment district and other costs and incidental expenses in connection therewith and on account of the issuance of the bonds. One of the longer resolution titles, but it's all out there now. And who would like to? Mr. Allen, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, it's a very poetic title. We have a couple of individuals with us today that I can present to you. We have our financial advisor from Cronin Associates, Buzz Crone, and our legal counsel, bond counsel from Barnes and Thornburg, Hannah Clendon.
Hi, everyone.
Good afternoon. Do you want us to go ahead and,
Please do.
do you want me to do some bullet points on some of the, there was a good list of questions that Larry sprung on me, but I think we've got all the answers for you here. But at any rate, Barnes and Thornburg prepares all the offering, the bond resolutions for both the RDC and the city council, and they mirror one another. And we help provide the parameters for the issuance of the bonds, which I know some of these questions were sort of comparing the old bond with the new bond, and I think we can cover all those too. But in terms of parameters, the maximum parameter for issuing bonds is $30 million. The original bonds, there were two series that totaled about $41.4 million back in 2015. They were issued for a term of 25 years. The coupon rates range between 2% and 5%. The payment structure is semi-annual interest and annual principal on February 1st. Well, semi-annual interest August 1st and February 1st, and principal payment due February 1st. The new bonds will have that same payment. All the TIF bonds have those same payment dates, so that's one of the covenants we have to maintain when we issue additional parity bonds, or in this case, refunding bonds that also have to meet the additional parity bond tests. Parity bonds just means priority of payment. They all want to be on the same par. Otherwise, you don't want to have to pay a second mortgage rate on a first mortgage bond. It's not really a mortgage bond, but I'm trying to make that relationship with a home second mortgage. It's the same type of thing. So we want to keep the parity covenants basically represent 125% of the annual maximum debt service requirement. We actually are considering maybe increasing that on this next deal to 135%, since we have excess TIF. That may help us get a stronger bond rating and a better interest yield. That'll be one of the things we'll do sort of right before the bond sales. We'll see what impact that has on the rating and the interest rates. But that would make any future bonds, you'd have a little bit higher hurdle to jump over than the 125. I think right now you're probably at 180 or 200% coverage ratios. You have one bond issue that is payable solely from the old downtown TIF, and then everything else is payable from the consolidated TIF, which includes the downtown TIF. There are 2017 has $6.4 million outstanding. 2019 has two series. One is 12.8 million outstanding, the other is about $500,000 outstanding. So those are the bonds we have to maintain, a parity with on the new bonds going out.
What was the second one?
Pardon me? The second one was 2019. It was a A1 and an A2.
Just the amount.
12. The outstanding amounts right now are on the A1 is 12,845,000, and on the A2 505,000.
There was one before that, and I didn't catch.
6,415,000.
Okay, thank you.
And on the ones we're refinancing, originally, was 41.435 million. We're refinancing 29,745,000, but we expect to have these issue at a premium or a net premium. So if we were going to go out and issue those today, we would be refunding with fewer bonds than what we're refunding, but because the underwriters are telling us right now that we're in sort of a premium market environment. That way they can put higher coupon rates on the bonds. It makes them a little more sizzling when they re-offer those, but people have to pay more than par value to get them. But then when they recycle and sell in the secondary market, they can play all kinds of games with that. All we care about is what is the true interest cost. And that's where you factor in, all the coupon rates as well as any discount or premium net. And right now, we have a parameter in the bond ordinance for the true interest cost cannot exceed 4.25%. That would give us minimum savings of about net present value savings of about 600,000. When we started on this, the rates we were anticipating a net present value of about 1.5 million. And so we're not going to sell them at that 4.25 rate. We're going to try to get our gross savings over $1 million is sort of the mental threshold we have. And those rates go up and down all the time. What happened in the bond market the last 2 days has been terrible for your 401k, but interest rates have dropped 30 to 50 basis points on municipal bonds. So people are selling off their stocks, creating more demand for bonds and tax-exempt municipal bonds. So we've already seen just in the last few days, we had the underwriters. Robert Baird is the underwriter that's been selected to handle this particular deal. There's two real dominant underwriting firms in Indiana that have big presence here, Baird and Stiefel. Used to be City Securities, then Stiefel. And you'll probably see Stiefel involved in some future deals. I know they're working on the sewer bond refunding we're doing right now too. So anyhow, the most true interest cost that is established as a high-end parameter here is 4.25%. If they sold today, we would expect the net interest or true interest cost to be, and that includes all-in issuance costs, net premium discount, everything, of 3.86%. They just ran those numbers this morning. And that would produce net present value savings of about 4.5%. That's when you take the net present value of the savings divided by the amount of bonds you're refunding, and you get percent of savings. And 2% is sort of the minimum that you want to consider. That's where that 4.25 comes in. But we're hoping that it's closer to this 4.5% or maybe 5% savings. Like I say, when we first started, this rates had come down a little bit, and that was sort of the target at the time this ball got rolling. Now, if rates aren't good, we won't sell the bonds. That's the bottom line. But at today's rates, the gross savings would be about 1.67 million, and the net present value savings about 1.26 million. So today would be, compared to the last couple of years, today would be an excellent day. But hopefully they'll keep coming this way, but they'll bounce around. By having all these pre-approvals in place, it allows us to, pick a date and time to have the sale that's at our best benefit, rather than scheduling a specific day to hold the sale. And, this gives us better flexibility to time the market better for the bond sale. So that's sort of in a nutshell, what the financial parameters of this take into account. I've got some answers to the list. Should I go over that real quick while I'm on a roll here, and then I'll turn it over to Hannah here. The original amount of, I think I already covered this, were two series at total 41.435 million, issued in 2015, payable over 25 years. So we're keeping the same payment structure. We're not going to extend the payments beyond February 1st of 2040. That'll stay the same. The coupon rates back then were 2 to 5%. Again, the payment dates are semi-annual. Those will be the same. The issuance costs from the 2015 deal were amounted to about $170,000, and they had about $124,000 discount, but there was also some premium in there that offset some of the discount. So the underwriting costs sort of get buried in that premium discount range, but it all boils down to the true interest costs that we're comparing here. The new bonds, again, the maximum amount's $30 million. We expect that'll probably be.
You want us to go through this, or can we ask questions we go?
Yeah, no, go ahead, please.
Just when we go off of that, what you just said, can you kind of define that or state that one more time? Because I was not following the way you were putting
Okay.
that.
With respect to the old bonds?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cost of, paying off the bonds, et cetera.
Okay, the cost of paying off the bonds, will be the $29,745. That's what has to be covered.
Okay, that's where I was.
But we expect to actually issue fewer bonds than that, because if it's issued at a premium, they pay a higher price than the maturity value, and then they get a little higher coupon rate. So that's why the true interest cost is much more important than just looking at the coupon rate. But regardless, those premiums need to be recovered by the bond purchasers before the call dates. So by hitting this call date, those people are sort of made whole on the premiums that they bid back in 2015, and we'll have the same issue here with, and that's one of the factors that will adjust as we get closer to the sale date, would be when are they redeemable for early redemption. And the minimum time would be 5 years on the refunding bonds. So it'd be 1/1 of 2035, basically, for bonds maturing, in 1/1/20 or 36. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. 1/1/30, I believe, is the first. That's the 5-year window for calling bonds early that would mature after that date. So the regular payments will go through 5 years minimum. We may set that 2 years out. That's one thing we'll be consulting with the underwriters on to see what's the best, technique to put as a minimum call date. So probably 5 years is the parameter that's in the bond ordinance. We may make it 7 years if that helps drive our interest rate down. Because when they do the premium bonds, they may want a little longer window. 10 years is customary on an initial issue.
Okay.
So we're kind of doing this after 10 years, we're just before the 10-year call date. And we can close the bonds 90 days before that. With the call date, it's actually February 1st of 2025. That's the call date. But we can close on that within 90 days and put that money in escrow to defease them on the call date. So, and we could do that as early, we could have our sale in October as long as we don't close before November 1. That's where we'll be really watching the market, Is it better to do it right before the election or right after the election? It's kind of going to be the question. There could be some correlation there, but we'll be watching the market every day between, the middle of October and the middle of November, and hopefully be able to have the sale then and close before the end of the year. Technically, we wouldn't have to close until February, closer to the call date on February 1st. So
Okay.
that may be, like I said, our goal is to try to clean it up before the end of the year, but we have an extra month that we could extend that sale. But so hopefully we'll see a calm, low municipal bond market right around the end of October, 1st of November, and take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Now, the new bond, sorry. Thank you for explaining that.
Then the issuance costs on the refunding bonds are probably going to be about $100,000. And there may be an additional rating fee of $15,000 or $20,000, but the refunding are less cost than the initial offering. And again, we expect premium bonds, so even though we've got a $30 million parameter, we may be able to pay them off with 27.5 or 28 million, and then the rest would get absorbed in the coupon rates, and we'll have a run, to present before this, we signed off on the bond sale, but and the council documents would authorize all that to the city controller, which we'll be working closely with after all the enabling ordinances and resolutions are approved.
And this is just the first step that we're
Yes.
going through in
Yeah.
order to move this forward.
And if rates go way up, we just won't do it.
We're able, now, when we look at that from a cost standpoint, is that a cost we need to absorb to take care of the prior things, but prior work that's been done?
Potentially, but
Okay.
we think it'll be worthwhile. But it's always a rolling of the dice, because you never know what's going to happen 6 months down the line, regardless of how the election goes. Hopefully we don't have World War III.
Yeah. So the net thing we're looking at is setting up an enabling ordinance for it to go to the council in order to restructure a bond so that we can save, we're looking to save $1 million, and if we're not able to hit the savings that we want from an administration standpoint, then we will not move forward in regards to it. But we're teeing up in order to make sure that the city of Bloomington saves the maximum amount of money on the money they're already owed, and we're not extending out the time.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent.
I'm just trying,
No,
I appreciate you bringing everything through on that.
No, I know, I hope I didn't confuse anybody, because it is not real straightforward.
Yeah.
But no, excellent questions.
Okay, bottom line, saving money, same time frame.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Buzz.
And I can, if you're,
Yes,
that
I'm
covers all the
sorry.
questions. No, you're fine. All I really have to add, I mean, I think you covered everything pretty well. Just the general timeline and steps. So this is the very first step that we're coming to the city for. We'd ask you guys to consider and approve this resolution. If you do, then the next step would be to go to the council, and I think we're eyeballing the meeting on the 21st in 2 weeks. Have a resolution before them, sort of authorizing the same. And at that point, that's all the approvals we need from the city. Since this is a refunding, there's slightly fewer steps than there otherwise would be. And like we were just talking about, that just sort of gets everything set and ready to go, so that when things are ideal,
We can pull the trigger, yeah.
So.
So assuming you find the right time to pull the trigger, what's the downside? Why shouldn't we do it?
Well, if rates go high, you know, where we're not saving at least 2 or 3%, you know, I'd like to see us, you know, closer to 4, maybe 5, you know, but we'll kind of have to make a call then, and we'll be in communication, obviously, with Jessica and the administration.
But outside of the timing, there really is not a reason not to do this.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think getting it ready to go and being able to jump at the right time is the appropriate thing is the best thing to do at this point, yeah.
And
Any other questions, comments from commissioners? Any
Yeah.
comments? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I want a real quick question in regards to, this was brought up as our controller did her review of the financials and identified. And I guess, Jessica, if you don't mind asking, if I ask a question in regards to it, how do you feel about this after reviewing the numbers and what you see as you're just coming into the,
Yeah, I feel really good
so-
about this. I think being aware of the opportunity to refund some bonds is what we should be doing with our bonds. So I fully support this.
okay, just want to make sure as we go through these resolutions and such that, you know, you've reviewed it and you feel
Yes.
comfortable with everything.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been in constant communication
And we've been
with
working
both of these
closely
groups.
For quite a while.
She's doing a wonderful
Brown
job, too.
Associates.
Excellent, thank you. All right.
Okay, thank you. If there's no more questions or comments from commissioners, invite question or comments from the public. Anybody online? Anybody in the room? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion, please.
I'll move approval of resolution 24-57.
Second.
Having a first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Save some money,
Nice to
guys.
meet everybody. Larry, good to see you.
What do you do with all that money?
Right? Exciting.
I'll figure something out.
Next on our agenda is Resolution 2458, which is an amendment to an agreement with JS Held for project management services for the Hopewell site. Who would like to speak to that? Is that you, Deb?
I trust Jane's expertise fully, so if you'd like me to jump in, I'm happy to.
Yeah, well, and Deb's here, so of course we can ask her questions too. But this is an amendment to the contract just to extend the time period for the initial contract with JS Held. We have approximately $100,000 remaining in the contract, and this will extend the work through the end of the year. And I think that's all. I'm happy to take questions, but that's really all there is to it.
Well, I don't have a question, but I'll make a comment. I've had the pleasure of working with Deb since the CBCI was in place, and we started Hopewell 10 years ago. And she's been a real pleasure to work with, and I'm glad she's on board.
Yeah.
And she did not pay me to say that.
Well, thank you for saying it. I should have prefaced by saying she's an amazing cat herder. Intrepid.
Quick question.
Yes.
No dollar extension
No,
at this present
at
moment.
this time.
And this is just going to take Deb through, or well, take JS Held and have Deb Kuntz as our contact point through January 1. Where do we start looking at after January 1?
You're right. We are actually going to be working with Deb on that over the next 6 months, and we'll have a strategy in place before then.
Okay, because if we could get that strategy in place so we're aware, because, you know, the items that come up that we're unaware of,
Right.
we'd like to be
Yeah, this is too
apprised
last
accordingly.
minute, so we'll have that, a strategy or plan in place in advance, and we'll come talk to you about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I'll invite a comment from the public. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Move approval of Resolution 2458.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. That's Resolution 2458. We will, next, our agenda is Resolution 2459, which is approval of payment of water meter installation fee for Hopewell East.
Hello, Roy Ayton with the City Engineering Department. This is our Hopewell East infrastructure project. The project itself has 2 water fountains and an irrigation system. Both of them needed hooked up to the city utilities. This will be a fee of $3,981 to have the 3 water meters hooked up through the CBU so that we can get water to the area.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from commissioners on this?
This is the standard water meter fee that has to be paid by CBU. Did they give us any credit for the previous water meters that we had on site, particularly the laundromat? That was the existing hospital, previous Bloomington Hospital laundromat that would have had an extremely large meter. Did we get any credit for any of those? Or?
Don't think this is just a service fee to have the meters hooked up. So I don't believe
okay.
Those fees. I think those meters were also into a different account. I think the hospital account. I'm not sure we had them in our account. I'd have to check.
They were.
But this is just the services to get our new meters hooked up. Yep.
Okay.
Connection fee.
Yeah, it's
And
connected.
no, so there isn't a credit.
Okay.
To answer your question, Drew.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would just, as we go through with the acquisition of what we acquired from the hospital, did we acquire something that would have been a credit towards our costs? And if it wasn't transferred, it wasn't there. So,
Thanks for
okay.
checking though.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
Well, I don't see that we really have a choice, but we'll have a future discussion about how the water fees are going to be paid on an ongoing basis.
Right.
Yeah, just to straighten out on this one, the Parks Department is picking up the water from this. All you're doing is for the redevelopment commission is just paying the service agreement to get them installed. We've already the account set up, and the Bloomington Parks Department is going to pay the fees going forward on these.
The actual usage.
The actual usage, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Is there, given this is a fountain feature and such, we've just got water usage. We don't have wastewater usage on this?
No.
Okay.
I think the wastewater, if I recall, that's through the ongoing CBU fees, and that would be through parks if there's any. I don't believe any 3. One's an irrigation system, doesn't have wastewater. The other 2 are fountains, and I don't think fountains could connect to wastewater either.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. If there's no further comments or questions from commissioners, I'll ask for comments from the public. Or you have something else, Sarah?
One last question. Again, this is just something that got missed in our infrastructure cost?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the cost till later.
It wasn't put in our budgetary for infrastructure.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any comments from the public online or in the room? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion, please.
Move approval of resolution 2459.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No one opposed. Motion carries unanimously. And the final item on our agenda tonight is Resolution 2461, approval of a second amendment to an agreement with the Weber Group for Trades District Gateway Art. Who would like to speak to that?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
2460.
Or letter E.
I think I might have just condensed it in my, yep, sorry, that was me kind of organizing my bookmarks and it got put under 59. Thank you for that, catching that. So I'm sorry. So next on our agenda is Resolution 24-60, a First Amendment to agreement with U3 advisors for an owner's representative consultant services for Hopewell. And who would like to speak to that?
I can speak to it
I
unless
can.
Deb wants to. Go ahead, Deb.
Go ahead, Larry.
No, they've heard my voice enough. It's fair.
Okay, so much like, there was, by the way, thank you for extending JSL's contract to the end of the year. We're always pleased to help the city of Bloomington. This is very similar in that there is a request for an extension of time to May 1st of 2025 in an effort to continue with the development advisory and really project or owner's rep services as it relates to development with U3 advisors. And so there is no change in fee. With the pause that happened with development, we're picking everything back up, and we just want to make sure that the time actually references that correctly. So happy to answer any questions about that, but that's essentially what it is. So.
Thank you for that explanation. Any questions or comments from commissioners on Resolution 24-60?
Just verifying, no additional financial dollars are coming out, and then
Nope, not at this time.
what's the? I guess we just approved JS Held through January. What's the significance of them through May 25th? Is that just a
Yeah.
contractual obligation, or does it go to the end of the year? What's the timing basis?
That's a
Yeah,
suspension time.
Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's really intended, to reflect getting through the public offerings for the different areas of Hopewell and trying to get to development deals. So that's what it aligns with.
Okay, thank you.
We were using them a lot in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and then they got suspended, so
They're taking
I
that
think they're trying
suspension.
to pick up where their contract kind of left off.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Seeing none, I'll invite comments from the public. I don't see any online or in the room. With that, I will entertain a motion, please, for Resolution 24-60.
I'll move approval of Resolution 24-60.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Passes unanimously. And now we are on to Resolution 2461, and which is an approval of amendment number 2 for an agreement with the Weber Group for the Trades District Gateway Art. And it looks like we have Ms. Coopersmith to talk to that. Would you
I'll
please?
speak to this with Larry for the friend that I will phone in for help. But basically, last year, the RDC approved $106,500 to support the completion of the OT 987, which is the new piece of public art that's going to go into the Trades District. That original contract was amended because there were a variety of drivers that increased costs to $133,642. That was approved with Amendment Resolution 2407. City staff, Holly Warren, approached the BUEA to split that increased funding. So there is an additional $33,825 that was approved by the Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association. So that happened earlier this month. So in spite of the way the contract is worded, there is not going to be a need for the RDC to back those funds. They've been approved. But this does also approve Karsten, I've lost his last name, Larry.
Oh, sorry.
Carson Thomas,
Yeah, thank you.
approves Weber Group to fabricate lighting on behalf of the lighting designer, Karsten Thomas. So this document solidifies that arrangement and approves it and allows it. And I think that's the gist of it. So we're getting close. With the approval of this contract, we'll be able to kick off the lighting fabrication at the studio in Southern Indiana.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from commissioners?
No cost to the RDC. BUEA's already picked it up, even though reflective of the contract. So
Yes.
the money's dealt with.
Yes.
So why do we have this resolution?
The resolution is here because the contract's actually with the RDC, so you hold the contract with the fabricator. And so to approve the change in contract in your signature, it needs to come before the RDC, even though you're not paying it. The backup resolution came from the fruit salad of my mind, so my apologies for that. I didn't realize the money had already been approved. It's one of those things, just anytime there's a potential use of TIF, we want to make sure that that's explicit, even if it is just as backup or remote. That was one of the reasons for including that. But it's before you just because you are a signatory to the contract.
Okay, so in the third whereas from the bottom, it says staff anticipates that the additional funding will be paid by the Urban Enterprise Association, and we're kind of a backup plan.
And that was because at the time that this was drafted, I was unaware that the BUVA had already approved the funding. And so just in the off chance that it was not approved, I wanted to make sure that we were
So
covered.
can we strike that?
Can, yes, of course.
And Larry, it's.
And then clarify that it's being paid by the UEA.
Or could that just be amended in terms of striking the whole thing and staff indicates or has no, or something that just says that the additional funding will be paid by the BUEA.
There you go.
And there will not, so instead of just strike it from start with additional and take out the staff anticipates, and then that becomes the amendment. And then maybe strike the last clause of, but that TIF funding should be approved as the backup source of payment.
You can absolutely do that.
Okay, so it just kind of puts it out there that it has been approved and it is committed.
We want to make 100% sure BUAA funding is.
Yeah, as
is
long as it's already
paying
in there
for
and
it.
just take out the stuff that
And
was kind of the
RDCs.
hedge and before they approved it, since they have approved it.
What you said sounded really good.
Oh, well, I was just, again, editing in person here. Okay, so we have that proposed amendment. Anything else in terms of questions or comments from commissioners?
And just to clarify, I wasn't on the RDC. When this art exhibit was chosen, is it all lighting? Is lighting just a part of what is ultimately to be fabricated?
Is a major part of it. So it's brightly colored.
Thanks for indulging me.
That's right, I wasn't.
Is it steel coated? I'm sorry, it's late in the day for me, so I don't have all my language. Powder coated steel with lighting integrated. We call it pickup sticks, or I call it pickup sticks because it looks like a giant pickup sticks game mid-play.
Mm-hmm.
And so the lighting is incorporated into the sticks, which are actually powder coated steel.
So the lighting is only part of the whole price tag there's more to this price tag than just the
This
lighting.
is it. This project has been in process since I think 2019. It was part of a major call that Sean Starowitz worked on. The piece was selected, and then during COVID, it ran into a variety of challenges, both related to the contractors, and then of course costs have been just driven up exponentially since 2019. So it has come before the RDC, I think 3 times in the last 12 months, probably. And we're now getting really close to the home stretch. We are looking forward to an event. So the Forge will open in October, and we're hoping to tie a town and gown series of events related to OT 987 along with that Forge opening. So it should be an exciting October for the Trades District.
Thank you. Just one other quick typo thing that's in the fourth whereas. It should be a total not to exceed amount. It says total note to exceed, so just to clean that up. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Seeing none, I'll invite public comment. Seeing none online or in the room, I'll entertain a motion as amended with typo and edit.
Move approval of resolution 2461 as amended.
Second.
If we have a first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, passes unanimously. And that is it for our agenda tonight. Anything else before we close our meeting? Seeing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So moved.
Good night, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.